Okay, you're here. You're okay. Yeah, that should be everyone accounted for. Um, Hello everyone. Welcome to another video. So today's video is the first video of 2021. You know, hope you all had a good vacation, and yeah, let's get back into class. Okay. Um, so yeah, brand new video, first video 2021. Yeah. Okay. No issues with that. Fine. Yeah, okay. So, in today's video, I want to kind of talk about Hypixel Murder Mystery and try to define what is being good at Hypixel Murder Mystery and try to kind of also give some tricks on how to get good at Hypixel Murder Mystery. Because of the fact that purely theoretical video will not be enjoyed by anyone. And, yeah. I mean, people like me will enjoy the video, but, yeah, I assume that not all of you are like me. So, yeah. And now you might be like, wait a second. Hypixel Murder Mystery, that's not a data pack, and yes, it's not. It's just that I spent a lot of my free time playing Hypixel Murder Mystery, as in it's basically the only game that I play, as in a mini game, excluding like vanilla Minecraft. So yeah, I play a lot of it. So yeah, I just felt like making a video because after years of playing, I think I've gotten decent at it. So yeah. Anyway, so let's get started and yeah, hope you learned something. Alright, so how do we learn what being good at Murder Mystery is? Okay, so obviously there are a couple of assumptions that people make, like being good is shooting the murderer as a detective, or being good is getting all the advancements that are in Murder Mystery, something like that. But there's no real way of knowing, because it's not like there's a board telling you exactly how you're supposed to play the game. And the game never really directly tells you this is your goal, right? So we need to start to try to make some assumptions for how to play and try to find out what the game is trying to tell us. So the classic way of a game telling you what to do is by giving you money. So if you do the right action, you get more coins in a shorter amount of time. And the better the thing that you do, the more coins that you get. So for instance, picking up a singular piece of gold gets you 5 coins. If you shoot the murderer, you get 60. And like that, you get coins. So first of all, I would like to explain and kind of mention the amount of coins that you generally get in a game, and after that, kind of explain my way of optimizing my coin game. So yeah. First of all, the vanilla coin generation. Alright, so the normal coin generation without using any super duper fancy tricks. So I have a couple of games that I have as an example. So I have 2 games where I was an innocent, picked up the detective's bow, and then shot the murderer, and then went on for a little while longer because it's double up. And I have one game where I just ran around for a little while as an innocent, picked up some gold, and then got stabbed. And the stabbing me and the game ending in the other ones is actually around the same point, which is why I picked them. But in the games where I became the detective, I actually didn't die. The game just ended. But the interesting thing is actually that my games as me becoming the detective and shooting the murderer is actually less coins. So my 2 games as detective is 177 and 186 coins for the 2 games. And me being an innocent who just picked up some gold was actually 240. Which, in case you have trouble with math, 240 is actually more. So at least sometimes it's actually more valuable being an innocent who's just getting gold than actually living, and defeating the murderer. So yeah, which doesn't really make much sense. So I would like to now kind of spend time explaining what kind of coin generation has gone wrong in order to create this effect, right? Obviously, you won't always have this effect. If you spawn in and instantly die as an innocent, you're not going to get any coins. But generally, I have found that being an innocent actually does help. So yeah. Let's go and have fancy graphs explaining coin generation now, I guess. So yeah. Alright, so the actions and their coin equivalents. So, first of all, picking up a singular piece of gold gives you 6 coins, but that action gives you more if you pick up more gold, obviously. So in a game, if you pick up 10 pieces of gold, you get 60 coins for that. If you live for 30 seconds, that actually gives you 30 coins. So you basically get 1 per second that you live, but you only get paid every 30 seconds, so dying strategically is a strategy that you can do. Shooting the murderer gives you 60 coins, and surviving to the very end also gives you 60. But obviously those amounts don't really explain why my games as a innocent who became a detective was so much lower, because I shot the murderer. I should have 60 more coins, really. But what I haven't mentioned yet is that not all of these actions, which I've magically showed through editing, are actually given to the detective as well. Because giving coins for picking up gold is an incentive for you to pick up more gold, so you naturally figure out that gives you a bow. But that isn't relevant for the detective, because the detective doesn't get a bow by picking up gold. So you don't get any coins for picking up gold. You also don't pick up. You also don't get coins for living for 30 seconds, and you also don't get coins for surviving until the very end. So in my games, I actually got a bunch of coins, and then became the detective, got 60 for shooting the murderer, and that was the total end of my coin generation. And also, as I mentioned, the games actually went on for like another minute, through which I got absolutely nothing. So that's why it actually was worse for me. If you pick up the bow, shoot the murderer, and the game ends instantly, it is basically just as good as you just casually surviving while someone else picks up the bow and shoots the murderer, because the detective, once again, doesn't get coins for surviving, and surviving is just as valuable as shooting the murderer. So what you can do is pick up 10 gold, shoot the murderer, and then get survival points. But just becoming the detective is a pretty bad economic strategy, sadly. So yeah, that's kind of why I tend to avoid the detective's bow in games. But yeah, on to me giving you crazy strategies on how to maximize your coin game. So yeah. let's get going with that. Alright, so a bit of a warning. My first trick is quite difficult to pull off, and you're not gonna have the same success rate every single time you use it. And it is also map specific. But yeah, with that being said, my first trick is robbing the bank in the Gold Rush map. So on the Gold Rush map, there is a bank with inside of it a vault, and inside of the vault there is gold, which you can use TNT to blow up, and then if you pick it up, you get a ton of gold, which you can then use. Obviously, if you pick up gold, you get coins. So yeah, I feel like that's already a pretty well-known fact of how to rob a bank. But there is one last thing that I have thought of, which might be slightly less well-known, which increases the amount of gold that you get from robbing the bank significantly, assuming that you do everything correctly and no one messes everything up for you. But yes, so the way that you actually rob the bank, just in case you don't know, is you have two chests, one in a cave thing and one inside of the prison. Fun fact, there's actually also a thing that you can blow up inside of the prison to do absolutely nothing. I think in an earlier version of the map, the door to the chest was closed and you had to blow through the wall to get into it, but they decided that it was too complex or something, so then they just opened the door. But yeah. Also, you need to use TNT to blow a hole through the tunnel in order to get access to the chest. But yeah, if you go into those two chests, you see 2 digits in both of them. Those numbers are actually the code to open the bank door, but before you can open the vault, you need to actually open the door to the number combination, which sometimes the door is already open for you, sometimes it's not. If it's not, you need to get a bow and shoot the wooden button, which is somewhere over there. And if you shoot the button, then the door opens. And then if you fill in the code, the vault door starts to open, and once the door is open, you use a TNT to blow it open, right? The thing is that if the door is closed, that means that you need 14 pieces of gold before you can have your infinite amount of gold. And you also need a good amount of time because you need to collect all the gold you need, and odds are that that's not going to work. So what I generally do is if the door is closed, I just give up because the door is closed. But if the door isn't closed, I go to the prison, which is right beside the vault bank thing, get 2 of the digits, and then simply cycle through the 100 possibilities. Because the prison chest gives you the last 2 digits, so you just need to go through the 100 possibilities for the first 2 digits. And then once the door opens, you just go in and light up your 1 TNT. And then all that costs is 2 pieces of gold to buy your cactus clearer TNT. And then you get a bunch of gold and it's great. However, there is so much gold that your inventory gets full, which sounds kind of fun. But yeah, what you then get is, for all your effort, you get 640 coins, which is a lot, but you could get more. So if you then buy more cactus clearing TNT, you get more inventory space again. Because basically, in order to get more inventory space normally, you would pick up more gold to trade for arrows, but your inventory is already full, so you can't pick up gold to get more arrows. To get less gold, because you want less gold, so that you can pick up more gold again. But yeah, if you buy Cactus Clearer, you don't need to... basically, buying Cactus Clearer first when you have full inventory, and that removes some of your gold, so you can pick up more gold. So, with all of that done, you can get like 1,500 coins in a singular game, which is only rivaled by a very successful game of being a murderer in normal situations without using any unintended tricks or intended tricks. I don't know if they meant for people to play like me. But yeah, with just doing that, it's really quite good, and you get a lot of coins, as you can see there. So yeah. Anyway, on to my next trick. So, for my second trick, this one, unlike the previous trick, is actually really simple to pull off, but like the previous one, it is once again map specific. So this one can only be done on the map Ancient Tomb, because that's the only map where you have the glorious Kali statues. Right, I just see that. So obviously using Kali is not a new thing. Everyone does it. Like literally everyone, whenever on the map, uses it. However, there are certain attributes to Kali that you might not be aware of, which can be abused really easily. So the main thing that makes this work is that while most people think that you can only give gold to Kali, you can actually give more. So you can give Kali your map, you can give Kali bows, and you can give Kali arrows. And of course gold. But the main thing is that bows, arrows, and maps are actually more valuable to Kali. So the message is also slightly different. So if you give one map and a singular piece of gold, you're like almost guaranteed for a good reward. I think I had like one game where I didn't get a good reward when I did that, but that's with like 50 times of doing this or something along those lines. I obviously don't know the specific amounts, but that's pretty close to a pretty good estimate, I think. Pretty close to my actual amount. But yeah, after that you get your good reward, generally that is either you getting a bow and arrow from Kali, or you getting triple gold. Now, triple gold is the fun thing, because with triple gold, you get triple the gold, and triple the gold means triple the coins from the gold. So instead of getting 6 coins per gold that you pick up, you get 18. And that stacks up really quickly, because on the Ancient Tomb map, it actually has really good gold spawning. So as long as you know where to look, there's actually a lot of gold for you to get. But the really cool thing is when you actually get a bow and arrow, which is far more common, really. So the thing that most people don't realize is that since you can also give a bow to Kali, you kind of can get into an infinite loop. So a bow and a map is, to my knowledge, because the message is exactly the same, that they are just as valuable. So giving your bow and a piece of gold will also give you a chance of getting either a bow or 3 golds per time that you pick it up, right? Triple gold. But the thing is, you don't just get a bow, you get a bow and arrow. So you do it once, and you give a map and a piece of gold, and then you get a bow and an arrow, and then you give up your bow and a piece of gold, and then you have 2 arrows, and then you do it again, and you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And eventually you will stop getting bows, because, well, not stop. Eventually it will switch it up, and you will lose your bow, because you've given up your bow, and you haven't gotten another one. But then you can just give an arrow and a piece of gold, and then do that until you get a bow back. And doing this is actually how I discovered what's super cool, what's the word, rewards there actually are. So I actually know, I think, obviously, if there is something that I don't know, let me know in the comments. But to my knowledge, and which I could think of in the last like 5 minutes, you can get a bow and arrow, you can get triple gold, you can get a second life. So, you just, if you die, respawn at one of the 2 statues. I don't know what the logic is for which one you spawn at, but maybe it's random. Maybe it's what's the furthest away from the murderer. No clue. You can get teleported to a safe area where you can't get hurt for a little while, which is really annoying when you get that instead of triple gold or a bow and arrow on your first thing, because then you get absolutely nothing for it, and you can't pick up gold because it's very far away. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. You can also have all of your gold removed and get a bunch of arrows instead. And you can also get an infinity bow, Kali bow, which is kind of the top reward in the scale of things. And if you get an infinity bow, you can obviously just remove all of your arrows instead. So you just give your arrows and gold instead, because you don't want to lose the infinity bow, because it is very rare and really nice. But yeah, that's kind of how to abuse Kali to an insane amount. Because I don't think that the point was of Kali that you can turn a singular piece of gold into a bow and arrow. But yeah, that is how I use it every single time. It's utmost entertaining. Quick side note, if you are a detective, this doesn't work because your arrows actually go into your inventory instead of your hotbar, so you can't give those. So if you give the bow and you don't get the bow back, you can never use your arrows to get a new bow. And you can never get a new bow by picking up more gold, because the detective doesn't trade in for a bow. So, yeah. As a detective, I'm just sad every time that I play on that map. But yeah. Also, as murderer, I think it is not really worth it to give up your map, because you need to see where people are, because you need to win the game, and at least some part of me wants to actually play normally. So yeah, as a murderer, I don't use this trick, and I instead just stab everyone near Kali. So yeah. Also, fun thing, Easter egg, if you try to give your bow, sorry, not bow, if you try to give your sword, it just asks you, are you sure that you want to do that? Because it knows that you probably shouldn't give up your sword. Don't ask me how I know that. Trick number 3. Sniping zombies. This might not really sound like it fits in with the other ones, because where in Murder Mystery do you have zombies? Well, actually, there's a custom game mode called Infections, and instead of Infections, you basically, it works like this. You have an alpha, who is basically like the murderer, and everyone else has bow and arrows. So all the survivors have bow and arrows, and they can shoot. If they shoot the alpha, then they actually start to look like a zombie. But if the alpha stabs someone, then they become a person who can stab other people. And as long as the alpha is alive, the zombies can respawn. But if the alpha starts to look like a zombie, then they can still respawn. And if the alpha gets shot again, respawning is disabled and you can eliminate the zombies. But there is a really cool mechanic, which has existed for quite a while, where if you shoot a zombie from far away, it actually gives you a message saying, hey, you shot someone from this distance. But as of recent, I noticed that actually gave me a coin reward. And I think that's a recent addition, because I don't ever remember seeing it before. But I think that nowadays you can most definitely get coins for shooting a zombie. But the interesting thing is you actually get 600 for one snipe. Which is a lot. It's a lot. Because you can actually, dependent on the map, with some maps it's really difficult, but on the map, like Mountains map, where you have like a really high point and a really low point, you can shoot downwards, and that also counts for distance. So as long as you shoot from all the way up there, all the way down there, you generally make every single shot that lands onto a zombie a snipe, which gives 600. Which it really racks up, because shooting a zombie doesn't mean that the zombie is dead, it means that the zombie is respawning and going back over to the point where you just shot them, basically. So you can really get thousands of coins, which is really cool. So yeah, that's my newer trick, which is actually a development in like this month. But yeah, it's really cool, and it happens in my favorite game mode, Infections. So yeah, I really like Infections, and no one really likes Infections, and it really makes me sad, but you know, hey, it's fine. Okay, so those were my super cool tricks. And me just babbling on about how Murder Mystery works in my eyes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I really put a lot of time into it. Like I even made this really cool tape. When did I get this table? I didn't have this table at the beginning of the video. Oh. But yeah, so I put a lot of time into it. So if you you know, want to leave a like, be appreciated. If you want to subscribe, and then you can catch more videos. Yeah, that's basically it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.